Welcome to Improve Your English Writing, video number 3. This is part 2 of Essential Grammar in a 3-part series. So this video will cover independent clauses, dependent clauses, subordinating conjunctions, coordinating conjunctions, conjunctive adverbs and transitional expressions, and parenthetical expressions. And I've tried to color code examples using this color coding system. That way, if you're taking notes, it will, when you see the color coding, you can come back to this and say, oh, that's a parenthetical expression. I think there's a couple times where I had to use different colors. So if you want to get notifications for this series, please click subscribe. If you like the video, please hit like. And check out the links to books and videos in the description. So independent and dependent clauses. So an independent clause is a clause. So that's a subject and predicate. You can just say verb here if you want to. That does not begin with a subordinating conjunction. So what's a subordinating conjunction? I'll get to that. It could stand alone as a simple sentence. So basically, it's a clause, so it's a subject and verb. We'll just say verb that does not begin with a subordinating conjunction. So a dependent clause is a clause that begins with a subordinating conjunction, and it cannot stand alone as a simple sentence. So that's the real difference between the two. So I've already covered clauses, so clause, subject, and predicate, and an independent just doesn't start with a subordinating conjunction, but a dependent clause does. So what are common subordinating conjunctions? See, I told you I'd get there. Well, here they are. Here are some common ones. There's more listed in the book. After, as, because, before, if, since, through, until, when, where, while. I've put very frequent ones in bold. So, and then a subset of dependent clause is a relative clause. So a relative clause is a dependent clause that begins with a relative pronoun. So those are that, who, and which, whom, and whose. But these three are very common. So if you have a clause which starts with that, it's technically a relative clause, which is a dependent clause. If someone said, there's that clause, if it began with that and they called it a dependent clause, they're correct. It's more technically correct to say a relative clause, but I'll settle for a dependent clause. So let's go through and now identify. I want to go through some examples and see if we can identify independent and dependent clauses. Once again, a dependent clause starts with subordinating conjunction, and here's a bunch of listed right here. So, she kicked the ball. So here's a clause. We have a subject and verb. She kicked. So kicked is the verb, and she is the subject. The ball is the object. Does it begin with a subordinating conjunction? No. So therefore, we know it to be an independent clause. I gave him money for a loan. Gave is the verb, I is the subject. Does this begin with a subordinating conjunction? The answer is no. Therefore, it is an independent clause. Now I think we moved a little bit more trickier ones. And here I think I just used red. I always use red for the first clause and blue for the second clause. Not that these are divided between independent. Remember the color coding system here in these examples. Red is the first clause, blue is the second clause. So the question is, here's a sentence. She tripped because she didn't tie her shoe. Is she tripped an independent or dependent clause? And is because she didn't tie her shoe an independent or dependent clause? Pause the video, get your answers, hit start again. The answer is she tripped is an independent clause. It does not begin with a subordinate conjunction, but the second one does because because is a subordinating conjunction. Therefore, the second clause is a dependent clause. Next example is when I receive my paycheck, I pay the rent. Stop the video. What are these? Are these dependent? Which one? Are they both independent? Are they both dependent? Is one independent? Is the other one dependent? Stop the video. Start when you have the answers. Okay, the answers are, the first one starts, first clause starts with a subordinating conjunction, therefore we know it to be a dependent clause. Received is the verb, I is the subject, when is the subordinating conjunction. Here, this is an independent clause. It does not begin with a subordinating conjunction. Some more examples. I made dinner after I went to the store. So once again, stop the video. Which one is the independent? Which one's the dependent? Or what are they? Both dependent, both independent. What are they? Great. The answer is the first one. And then red is an independent. And the second one is a dependent clause because after is a subordinating conjunction. If you actually, just to stop here, if you actually separate it out, I went to the store and just focused on that, that's, if you didn't have the rest of this, that would be an independent clause. But what makes it a dependent clause is it starts with a subordinating conjunction. So independent, dependent. The reason this becomes important is because of punctuation. What about this one? Once again, stop the video. Determine which one are these. Are these independent or dependent? Okay, here are the answers. The first one is dependent because wherever is a subordinating conjunction. And then you have this clause here, and then this clause does not start with a subordinating conjunction, therefore it's independent. Another example. Once again, stop the video when you have the answer. All right. So it's the first one is an independent clause. I lived with a nice guy. The second one is actually it's a relative. I put dependent / relative because if you would have answered either, it's going to be correct. It's technically a relative clause, which is a dependent clause, but this is a dependent clause or a relative clause. Who is my football teammate? The last example is this one. Once again, stop the video. The first one is an independent clause. It does not start with a subordinating conjunction, and the second one is a dependent and technically a relative clause because it starts with a relative pronoun. So those some examples. Hopefully you found those instructive. I believe there are 8 examples there, and hopefully it's now crystal clear the difference between an independent and a dependent clause. This is actually pretty important for punctuation. It will also help you better your writing because when you start to form sentences, you'll be forming or thinking about, this is an independent clause, or sometimes you need to join these together. An independent or these two clauses, and you can actually join the sentences or the clauses together by joining them with a subordinating conjunction, like in this top one. You could have 2 sentences here. I made dinner, period. I went to the store. But you've actually joined these two together with a subordinating conjunction and adding after. I made dinner after I went to the store. So let's move on to the next subject, coordinating conjunctions. There are 7 coordinating conjunctions that join words, phrases, or clauses of equal status. What that means is word to word, phrase to phrase, or clause to clause. They spell the word, or acronym, they spell the acronym fanboys. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. And the 3 most common are and, but, or. So here's some examples. For 3 days, I ate only bread and water. Here we're joining 2 words, bread and water. So equal status, we're joining two words together. The question is to be or not to be. Here we are joining two phrases together. The phrase is to be and the phrase not to be with the conjunction or. The last one, we're going to join two clauses together. I went to the store, but the coordinating conjunction, I could not find what I needed. If you look at both of these clauses, these are actually both independent clauses. What about conjunctive adverbs and transitional expressions? Well, here are some just common conjunctive adverbs and transitional expressions. However, wherefore, therefore, for example, in addition, moreover, namely, thus, and so on. The book has lists more of them, or do a Google search of conjunctive adverbs, transitional expressions, and pretty sure you'll pop up a list. So conjunctive adverbs or transitional expressions, they join and show the relationship between independent clauses. So the red, these are both independent clauses. I was early to the test, however, which is a conjunctive adverb. I had forgotten a pencil. And here I have put in red the independent clause, blue a dependent clause, and then in purple here the conjunctive adverb. So I was late to the meeting because an accident caused heavy traffic. Nonetheless, I beat my boss by 30 seconds. So here is the conjunctive adverb. The reason I joined these two together, you could say, well, these are different, but the reasons I lump these two together is because they're punctuated the same way. So there's real no difference of distinguishing. And in fact, some lists actually list some things under transitional expressions and some things under adverbs, etc. And to me, they don't really matter. They're basically the same thing because they're punctuated the same way. They're handled exactly the same way in the sentence when you write them. So that's why I lump them together, even though they are two different things. But punctuation-wise and how they're handled or written in a sense, they're used the same way, or formatted if you want to use it the same way. Better word is probably punctuated the same way. So parenthetical expressions. Common parenthetical expressions include yes, no, unfortunately, of course, oh, and well. There's more. Once again, the book has more listing of parenthetical expressions. Basically, a parenthetical expression is a comment or explanation expressing an opinion or attitude. And this is the important part. It could be removed from the sentence without affecting the meaning. So, unlike conjunctive adverbs and transitional expressions which join and show the relationship, parenthetical expressions are just sort of an explanation or attitude or comment and could be removed from the sentence without even affecting the meaning. Here, let's see some examples. Both of the red are independent clauses. I did not see Amy that day. In fact, I did not see her the entire week. If you actually took out in fact, it wouldn't even matter to the sentence. I didn't see Amy that day. I did not see her the entire week. Huh. You don't even need it. You could remove it. Here's another one. Did you see Amy that day? No, I did not. No is a parenthetical expression. It's not even needed. Did you see Amy that day? I did not. You don't even need no. So it's a parenthetical expression. So that's it for this video. If you want to receive notifications for the series, please click subscribe. If you like the video, please hit like. And check out links to books and videos in the description. Thank you.